Welcome to the MeMyddleton Show, a place to encourage neo-spiritualists to laugh, love, and learn, while we virtually walk through topics of the spiritual, magical, natural, and occultic world. I am your host, Evina. You have now entered the MeMyddleton Show. Thank you for tuning in to the MeMyddleton Show, Episode 9. White folks in African traditions and black folks in European traditions. Why? As you can tell by the title of this episode, it's going to be quite interesting. So let's just get right to it. Just like many of us, I began my magical journey in one thing shown to me the most, Wicca. You see a lot of movies and TV shows that highlight witchcraft, like The Craft, Practical Magic, Charmed, and so many others. Many people looked at me strangely as to why I didn't gravitate towards African traditions, even the white witches. They automatically assumed I practiced voodoo when they discovered that I am a magical practitioner. Why do they assume that? Because I'm a black woman? But why didn't I gravitate towards voodoo or any other African tradition initially? Well, the quote-unquote, I'm doing air quotes like y'all can see that, the powers that be made sure to paint African spirituality as evil and dangerous. And to those of you who are gravitating towards or are currently in African traditions, if you ain't never seen the movie yet, and if you want to get pissed off real quick, go look up the movie Abby. It's a blaxploitation movie that was made decades ago. Abby, A-B-B-Y, if you want to get pissed off real quick. Even though Christianity demands to keep away from witchcraft altogether, TV glamorized European magic and demonized African magic. So I started with Wicca. It was simple enough. The 5 elements: earth, air, fire, water, spirit. Okay. The Wiccan creed. Okay. Candle magic, moon magic. All right. Okay. Mother goddess and father god. Okay, cool. Then it evolved into astrology, crystals and stones, herbalism. That journey went on and on. I journeyed into so many other traditions, but still not African. But why? Throughout my journey in what is known as the conscious community, a lot of us who graduated from the conscious community affectionately call it the conscious community, I saw a lot of people embracing African heritage, studying slavery, learning about African tribes and languages, demanding rights in the U.S., and being militant while throwing up the Black Power fist. Side note, nowadays, they cross their arms over their chest with both hands fisted as they call upon an imaginary land when they exclaim, "Wakanda forever." And you know what? I think it's pretty dope for black people to finally see ourselves as heroes versus dipping Wonder Woman and Superman in chocolate. But I digress. Within these black organizations that oozes black pride, I see the oddest sight. White people throwing up the Black Power fist, exclaiming our sentiments. Organizations that's talking mad shit about white folks and white supremacy. You see white members of these organizations in complete agreement. When my journey finally led me to African witchcraft, from here on out we'll call it African spirituality or ATR or the like. Guess what I saw? I saw white folks practicing voodoo and offering services. I saw white folks and stringy-haired Latinos practicing Ifa and offering services. I saw stringy-haired Cubans practicing Palo and offering services. Traditions that came from Ghana, Benin, Nigeria, the Congo, and many other places in Africa are now being practiced by non-Nubians. I then understood how those white Wiccans felt when they saw me. But why? Why are black people embracing the spiritual systems of the oppressors and not embracing self and kind? Why are these white folks or colonizers entering and invading our sacred spiritual systems? Can't we have our own shit to ourselves for once? These and many more of those sentences are the type of things I've heard throughout my magical journey. And at one point, I mostly agreed. I didn't agree 100% because I did start off in the European tradition myself. I gave excuses like being afraid of voodoo, to just not being attracted to African traditions, to Wicca is easily accessible to learn, solo, and affordable than ATRs were. And my excuses were very true to me. Moving from one magical science to another was my spirit searching for more. I'm very grateful for my magical beginnings because it gave me the basis. Like candles and colors. Every tradition on earth uses candles and colors. Understanding the power of your words, clarity of mind, consistency, the power of repetition, and so much more that's universal in every magical path. But for each school I was in, my soul said, something's missing. I was so over the previous school and ready for the upcoming school, each time getting a bit more than the last, but still, something is missing. I felt incomplete. When my journey took me to the ATRs of Nigeria and Ghana, I developed an understanding that somehow I've always known. A very special teacher and leader of an ATR reminded my spirit of why I see white folks in ATRs and black folks in European science. And I am very grateful for this special teacher, for this beautiful reminder. I won't say their name because I didn't request nor receive permission to do so. If I ever do get a permission, I will shout them out in a future episode and edit this episode's text info by adding their info. So in my own words, I will share with you what I was taught. Now, please understand that there is no such thing as a biracial or multiracial spirit. Your spirit is either from one traditional race or the other traditional race. Biracial and multiracial people are a result of physical DNA. Your physical DNA holds records of your physical makeup. This is physical proof of your blood ancestry. Okay? However, your spirit has only one race from ages ago that have experienced different physical forms. Okay, so to give you an example, let's say that as far as you know, there have been people of African descent on both your dad and your mom's side of the family for at least 5 generations that you know of. And just making up stuff. You're a thugged out black man who's not afraid to kill or go to jail. Okay? You're just making up stuff. However, there is a Chinese woman's spirit animating your body. This Chinese woman named Ming was born around 530 BC, who lived during the Zhao dynasty. Okay? This is in the middle of the Zhao dynasty. Okay? She just so happened to have been secretly trained, like Mulan, by the famous military strategist Sun Tzu, who wrote the famous book, The Art of War. Okay? And one of her descendants, on down generations later, one of her descendants made babies with a soldier of a particular tribe of Kush, who helped defeat the Roman Empire under the rulership of Her Royal Majesty, Queen Mother Amani-Renas. I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. Amani-Renas. And all of this happened in 24 BC, 526 years after Ming's birth. And on down the line, their descendant was Carlotta Lucumi's babysitter before she was kidnapped and sent to Cuba, where she led a rebellion and died in 1844 AD. You had one job, babysitter. Anyways, the descendant of Carlotta Lucumi's babysitter on down the line, somewhere between 1850 and 1870 AD, the babysitter's descendant ended up in Georgia, USA. This descendant encouraged his cousin to move to Atlanta, Georgia from Charleston, South Carolina, where he became the second bishop of the newly formed African Methodist Episcopal Church and co-founder of Morris Brown Colored College, later became Morris Brown College, on January 5th, 1881. And your family has been in Georgia till this day. Not only does this journey explain why you currently have an untrained warrior spirit, but Ming haven't walked in this physical realm in about 2,450 years. All Ming knows is that her name is Tavarius, and with a rap sheet a yard long, brought up in Bankhead ATL, and with no fear of killing or going to jail. But one day while you're in jail, the classic tale or the classic scenario of a jailed Muslim introduced you to Islam, and you actually vibrate to that. Quite possibly because somewhere between Ming and the Kush soldier was a Muslim who practiced magic. You claimed being a Muslim for 7 years, and then you felt empty. But instead of going backwards to what you know being a thug, you were led to philosophies of Lao Tzu, who authored the Tao Te Ching and founded Taoism. And now you feel at home. But you're a black man. Why didn't you embrace self and kind, you traitor? Well, people are judging a book by its cover. They see a black man, but the spirit is a Chinese woman. Hopefully, Tavares learned how to accept and communicate with his Chinese ancestors throughout his journey, who have been calling out to his spirit and not be swayed by his environment that thinks they know what's best for him because they're looking at a black man. However, let's make this even more interesting. However, even though they are brothers, Dominique may have the spirit of that Kush soldier's baby brother that only lived to be 3 years old. Here I am just still making up stuff. So one brother has a Chinese woman in him, and the other brother has an African baby boy in him. Both are black men from the same black mother and black father. And because Dominique is not a spiritual type of guy, he totally ignores the callings of his African ancestors and is very lost in life, while Tavares embraces the calling he heard that led him to his Chinese ancestry. Now, I made all that up, except for the little bitty facts, like how the Kush Empire defeated the Roman Empire, and Morris Brown College, and Lao Tzu, and Sun Tzu, you know, the Art of War guy, and Lao Tzu, the Taoism guy. All of that's true. But all that other stuff in between, I made all that up. However, the scenarios are realistic. Remember the leader of the ATR I mentioned earlier? That leader told us about a client they had. The client was a black woman that initially tried to embrace African traditions because, well, she's black. Yet her life was not improving. In fact, it seemed to be going left. So she went to this ATR leader, and they performed a divination to investigate her situation. Come to find out, ancestors of African traditions were not the ones calling out to her. It was her European ancestors leading her to the Druid system. She went that direction, and her life improved significantly. Now, let's look at white folks in African traditions. Do I need to give similar illustrations like previously, a whole long made-up story about some other ethnicity living inside of a white person? I think you got my drift. I think you get the point. I have seen white people practicing voodoo, hoodoo, Ifa, and a few other traditions of people of color. And guess what? It seems to work just fine for them for some reason. It could be due to having the African ancestors calling out to them. Just like how Ming's ancestors were calling out to Tavares. Or, get this, in certain traditions, the spirits are giving them attention because their own descendants ain't giving them attention. So how do you find out which way to go for yourself? Well, I told you one way to go, and I could hook you up with the ATR leader I mentioned earlier so you can get a divination for yourself. The more economical way is to connect with your ancestors. That is very powerful and very, very, very important to connect with your ancestors. That could be via meditation. It could be via ancestor altar. It could be through simple yet powerful ancestor connection rituals. Whichever way you choose, please be consistent in connecting with them. And don't start off begging them folks for stuff. How would you feel if a distant cousin contacts you on Facebook talking about, hey, cousin, support my business? And that kind of thing has actually happened to me. Personally, I'll be like, I'm doing fine, stranger. You random ass motherfucker. Why are you asking me for anything? Who are you? I don't know you. You see, that's a tidbit how your ancestors might feel. So for a considerable amount of time, let them know that you want to build a relationship in hopes to strengthen each other. You help strengthen them as they help strengthen you. And watch evolution happen over time. Note that this is a lifetime commitment now, so be sure you're ready for such a responsibility. Humans are notorious for judging things in front of them, and we create all kinds of strange narratives based on the limited information we have at the moment. That has the potential to be detrimental to the subject being judged. My response to that is mind your motherfucking business and connect with your own kinfolks. So what? You see a black person saying blessed be and a white person saying ashe? What exactly are you saying? Amen? Spiritual connection is so vital. It's more than just spiritual enlightenment. It's connecting with those that came before you. It's remembering family traditions that strengthen y'all on the physical and spiritual worlds. There is a whole race of people who are crumbling due to the lack of ancestral connection. They thought by trying to do that to black folks that we'll lose our connection and power. That's exactly what they're experiencing versus what they tried to have us experience. And looking to traditionalists to help mend their fragmented culture. Helping them to connect with their ancestors is the way to peace in the world, I promise. We need that special element to accomplish this. What element is that? As the beautiful king would say, in order to heal the planet, we must operate out of the energy and vibration of love. Did you enjoy? Ooh, I hope you did. Did you learn anything? I hope you gained a great wealth of information. Did this episode leave you with questions? I hope you got plenty of those too. Send your questions to MeMyddleton@gmail.com. You never know, your question just might be the next topic on the MeMyddleton Show. What would you like to see on the MeMyddleton Show? Do you have any suggestions? Send them over to MeMyddleton@gmail.com and I'll be super happy to read your suggestions. If you're listening in on Podbean, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or any other platform, please leave a comment. If you're listening in on YouTube, leave a comment, click on the like button, click subscribe, and click on the notification bell to be notified of all uploaded videos. check out my website at www.helpedbyevena.com. That's HelpedByEvenah.com. View merchandise, get a consultation, and listen to all episodes of the MeMyddleton Show. And remember, proper prior planning practically promotes persistent productivity and proud, pristine performances. Now, go practice your craft and perform. Until next time.